Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again today. Welcome to another segment of The Amateur Baker. So today is really exciting because this recipe I found the other week and it looks amazing. It combines some of my favorite foods. It is bread and Nutella, and we're gonna put them together to make it even more awesome. So I've actually never baked a bread before. Crossing my fingers, hope it turns out all right. As long as it tastes good in the end, that's all that matters to me. We're gonna get started. Have the ingredients all laid out for us. So we got sugar, flour, milk, an egg, we got salt, we got some melted butter, and the star of the show, the Nutella. I don't have self-control when it comes to Nutella. It's pretty bad. Nutella lasts in this house for maybe a day. Probably less though. I brought it home and took a big spoonful out of it, and I already ate some of it. So first, we are gonna add a tablespoon, or a tablespoon? Is it a tablespoon? Not a tablespoon, okay. We're gonna add it to the bowl. And then we're gonna add a packet. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. One of the most important parts of the recipe is the yeast. Yep. I swear they don't make stuff just child-proof. They also make it adult-proof too. I got it. All right, yeast goes in the bowl. And then it says you're supposed to mix the sugar and the yeast. So I learned something about yeast today. When you add sugar and fresh yeast, it liquefies, which I did not know. But with the active yeast, I don't think it's gonna do that. And we are gonna add our lukewarm milk, and then we're gonna add our egg and our butter. Milk goes in, and then we add our egg, our butter, whisk that oh so gracefully. So then in a separate bowl, we are to add flour. 2.5 cups. Flour, then half a teaspoon of salt, just kind of whisk that together. Pour the milk mixture over the dry ingredients, and then you start kneading. Get our hands dirty. Kneading. This feels really fun. I love putting my hands in dough and just getting my hands dirty, touching stuff. Yeah. Okay. Give the dough the shape of a ball. Simple enough. Sprinkle oil onto a clean bowl and place the dough in it, and cover it with plastic wrap. I don't do things very gracefully sometimes. I totally just demolished my plastic wrap, but it is finished. We have our ball in the plastic wrap in a bowl, and we're gonna let it rise for an hour. I'll meet you guys back here in an hour for our favorite part, adding the Nutella. As long as I don't get to it first. All right, so we are back. Our dough was supposed to rise for about an hour. Can't really tell if it's doubled. It doesn't really look like it's doubled in size. I can't even tell if it's risen at all. Well, I'm just gonna get going, I guess. Unless I didn't need it all the way. I don't know. Okay, so I don't think my dough rose. I don't know what exactly happened, but it's still about the same size. But, you know, I'm just gonna deal with it anyways. Maybe it'll turn out, maybe the bread will still turn out okay. Just a little disappointed is all, but we're just gonna just keep going and see how it ends up. So the next step after your dough has risen, hopefully it turns out a little better than mine. We're supposed to roll it out. I think this will do for now. You're supposed to roll it out into the shape of a rectangle. It's not a good true rectangle, but you know we're gonna make it work. So now we're gonna add the Nutella. Yum, 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 yum. We're gonna spread it like so. I just hope it turns out. And the recipe calls for about a half a cup of Nutella, but you know, I'm not going by the recipe rules. I'm going by my rules. I'm gonna put probably a little bit more Nutella onto my bread. A friend of mine, back when I was out of high school, we would get together and we would get a jar of Nutella, take 2 spoons, and we'd just share the jar and we'd just eat the Nutella right out of the jar. Not the only one, I'm not crazy. Nutella's good. Nutella makes your heart happy. Nutella's good for your soul. And you know what? Since we're done using the Nutella, I'm just gonna, here I go. It's so good. Okay, so we're gonna roll it up. Roll up the dough and using a sharp knife, cut the log in half lengthwise. This is exciting. I've never baked bread before. And then it says to at one edge, don't cut all the way because we're gonna braid it. But right now, I feel like I'm dissecting a fish. It brings me back to my memories living in Alaska when my dad would bring home the fish and watching him cut it open and dissect it and everything. It was fun. And then I'd take out the intestines and the heart and I'd play with it. You guys probably don't need that image right now, but oh my gosh, that's what you did growing up in Alaska. I miss fresh fish. Can't have it here because it's like, how much is it? It's like 12 bucks a pound. Crazy. Okay. I'm gonna move my knife. There's my braided bread. So I never keep parchment paper around in the house because I usually don't make recipes that need it, so I always improvise and I use tin foil. Put the braided bread right into here. All I have to do next is preheat the oven, and we have to let this sit for 20 minutes. I'm gonna put a towel over it. And we just hope for the best. Okay, so we just let the bread rest for a little bit. I'm so sad right now. It's so flat right now. I just hope it turns out okay. So what we have to do next is spread some butter on it before we put it in the oven. So next we have to spread some butter on it before we put it into the oven. So I got my egg. Oh gosh. First we have to spread some egg on it before we put it in the oven. So that's what we're gonna do. I don't have one of those cool like spreader things, you know, like butter spreaders or whatever they're called. So I'm using a spatula. It works just as well. This will put a nice shine to it, and it'll help it give it that nice golden brown that we want. And I want to encourage you guys to try this recipe out if you want to. Just because baking's fun, and yes, you're not going to, your first time trying something might not turn out as well as you want it to be. Like my dough didn't rise like I wanted it to, but just keep going and keep practicing. That's all you can do. So we're gonna put this into the oven. It's gonna be in there for about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll see the end results. All right, guys. The bread just came out of the oven, and it ended up actually turning out better than I expected it to be. It looks a little more poofier. I'll show you guys. Get a good look of it. Look at that, it's amazing. So I'm excited. I'm gonna let it cool down for a minute, and then I'm gonna try it out because I'm super excited to try it. It turned out a lot better than I thought, so I'm super excited. It's still hot. Okay. I'm just gonna cut a little bit off. How this goes. Oh my gosh. Just look at that goodness. Look at it. Oh my gosh. I have to try a piece now. I'm really impatient when it comes to desserts. I have, like, right when it comes out of the oven, I want to eat it. Oh, that is so good. It is so worth it. All right, guys. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm gonna make sure to post the recipe down below. Encourage you guys to give it a shot because it is amazing.